All right, welcome to our next problem-solving strategy, working backwards. When we are finished reviewing this, you should be able to solve a situational problem by using the work backwards strategy. Working backwards is a strategy you use when the problem has a sequence of actions or a series of steps. Also, it's a strategy you will use when you already know the final result of the action and when you are asked to determine the beginning condition of the problem. So working backwards is used to consider the actions in reverse order. So it's when you're asking to do things in reverse order, that's when you're going to use the work backwards strategy. All right, so let's look at this one. It says, let's try. Sam needs to know how much money he had before he began his spending spree. He spent $5.98 on food, $6 on a movie, and $47.34 on a pair of shoes. Then his mother gave him $20 to buy groceries. The groceries totaled $17.95. If Sam has $5 left, how much money did Sam start with? And we're going to use the same problem-solving steps that we've been using before. We're going to start by understanding the problem. We read the problem, and now you have to ask yourself, what do I know? Well, one thing we know is we know how much Sam spent in each place he went. We know that he spent $5.98 first, $6 second, $47.34 next, and he also spent $17.95. Another thing we know is that he had an additional $20 added in between there. And we also know what he had in the end. He has $5 at the end. The next question we need to ask is, what are we trying to find out? And then this one says, how much money did Sam start with? So when we are looking at start with, they are asking for us to give them the beginning amount. That's what makes working backwards the perfect strategy for this problem. All right, so we're going to choose the strategy. We know all the amount Sam spent with what and what he had when he was done. We want to find the beginning amount. And since this problem gives the end result and asks something that happened earlier, we start with the result and we are going to work backwards. We are going to undo each step. So let's carry out our plan. So we have our problem there, and we know that when Sam was done, he had $5. So we have that over there, $5. The next thing that we know is that if we go backwards, so we have here, so we're at the $5, and we work backwards, we know he spent $17.95. So we are going to add the $17.95 to the $5 he ended with, and we're at $22.95. Then our next step is we're going to undo the $20 his mom gave him. Now she gave him $20 and added him, but by working backwards, we are going to subtract the $20. So now he's back to $2.95. We're going to undo the 3 purchases, which means we're going to add the $47.34, add the $6, and add the $5.98. And what we will end up with is $62.27. So we did the reverse of everything that happened in the problem. We would have, had we known the beginning amount, subtracted $5.98, subtracted 6, subtracted 47, and then added 20 and subtracted $17.95. But because we're working backwards, we reversed all those operations. And we find out that we think he started with $62.27. Step 4 is to look back and reflect. So we have to ask ourselves, does the answer make sense? What were you trying to find? Do we have the correct units? And is our answer in a complete sentence? So we're going to check this one to make sure it makes sense by working the problem forward. Since we figured out that he probably had $62.27 to start with, we're going to work the problem forward now. We're going to subtract the $5.98 that he spent on food. We're going to subtract the $6 he spent on a movie. We're going to subtract the $47.34 he spent on shoes. Then we're going to add the $20 his mom gave him for groceries. And then we will subtract the $17.95 that he spent on groceries, and we can see that we have $5 left. So by looking back and reflecting on this one, we're actually going to resolve the problem to make sure it's correct. To do our answer, we write in a complete sentence. Sam started with 22 or 62.27 before he started his spending spree. And you'll notice that I did not just write 62.27. You want your answers to be in a complete sentence, repeating part of the question. And that is working backwards strategy. Remember, when you're working backwards, you're using the type of problems where you already know the end result, and you're supposed to find the beginning of it, and you just reverse the order of the problem. So go ahead and you can start working on your working backwards problems.